Tonight, the Skye shooting trial has played 999 calls. Finlay MacDonald denies murdering his brother-in-law John McKinnon and the attempted murders of 3 others. Also making the headlines,
"Stop him! He stole from us! Stop!"
the shoplifters targeting Edinburgh's Royal Mile. Extra police are being deployed in the Old Town.
Probably before summer, it's daily. They've just been taking stuff, but what happened is somebody one day will come with a knife.
Scotland's care sector says tens of thousands of people could be denied the support they need as national insurance payments go up for employers.
And tonight's sport comes live from Hampden ahead of a huge night for Scotland as we take on Croatia in the Nations League.
I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. A man accused of murdering his brother-in-law in a shooting on Skye was followed by 2 marked police cars for several miles before another shooting a High Court trial has been hearing. One of the officers broke down in tears as he told jurors how he'd watched the man fire a gun through a window. Finlay MacDonald denies murdering John McKinnon and also the attempted murders of his wife, Rowena MacDonald, and Faye and John Mackenzie in August 2022. Nicola Cally is at the High Court in Edinburgh.
Today the court heard from police officers who had followed Finlay MacDonald to a house in Dorney on August the 10th, 2022. They'd been looking out for his car as they travelled to the scene of his first alleged attack at Tarskavig. Earlier that morning, reports had come in of a stabbing and then a second incident of a shooting a few miles away. The officers told the court that they had followed MacDonald for a number of miles. They'd wanted to try to stop his car, but were ordered not to by operational control based in Dundee. Inspector Bruce Crawford tearfully told the court when they got to Dorney, Finlay MacDonald had a shotgun as he stood outside a house. A woman had come out and the inspector had shouted at her to get back inside. MacDonald then fired the gun through a window. Police pursued him inside to find a man and a woman injured. They used a taser and a baton to incapacitate MacDonald and he was arrested. Earlier, the court had heard 2 999 calls. The first was from Rowena MacDonald. She told the operator, "I have been stabbed." "Who did it?" she was asked. "Finlay," she said. In another call, John McKinnon's family told emergency services that he has been shot. "Somebody did it," they are asked. "Finlay, my brother," John McKinnon's wife Lynanne said. "I don't know why." The jury were shown photographs of the inside of Finlay MacDonald's car. On the passenger seat there was a toolbox that had hundreds of shotgun cartridges in it, and in the footwell a machete-style knife. Finlay MacDonald is accused of the murder of John McKinnon on August the 10th, 2022 and the attempted murders of Rowena MacDonald and Faye and John Mackenzie on different locations on Skye and at Dorney on the same day. He has pled not guilty and lodged a special defence, claiming his ability to determine or control his conduct was substantially impaired by reason of abnormality of mind. Nicola McCally, STV News.
It's one of Edinburgh's most popular streets for tourists, but business owners say the Royal Mile and surrounding areas have become a hotspot for shoplifters and burglars. There are now calls for an increased police presence in the city's Old Town to help combat fears over the level of crime. Amy Flett has more.
"Stop him! He stole from us! Stop!"
Scenes like these are becoming all too familiar in Edinburgh's Old Town. From break-ins to shoplifting, day and night business owners say crime is rife along the Royal Mile and surrounding bridges, with all of it captured on CCTV like this. On Wednesday night, this shop was targeted by thieves after they smashed in one of its windows. Roberta has worked here for 6 years and says she's never seen it as bad as this.
I would say in the last 6 months, probably before summer, it's daily. For now, they've just been taking stuff. But what happens is somebody will one day will come with a knife, and they will be threatening my stuff or even myself, It's dangerous.
And those concerns are echoed by businesses across the area.
We're just all constantly on edge. We expect anything to happen at any moment, really. Some people are having their sleep affected at this point, where they just wake up at night because their brain is sending out an alert and they're awake for a couple hours. It's stressful.
No matter what time of year, the Royal Mile has always been known as a tourist hotspot. But with increasing levels of shoplifting and break-ins, there's fears it's becoming a hotspot for crime.
The police need to come into this area in particular more often, day and night, by patrol car, by foot, because not only are our staff affected by this situation, they're feeling very anxious and stressed about it, but our visitors experience this situation as well.
Police Scotland said it is fully aware of ongoing issues and has a dedicated investigative team targeting acquisitive crime. It assured that all reported incidents are being investigated and that an arrest has been made. But while it said that regular patrols are conducted in the area, business owners say it's not enough, and until more is done to deter theft before it happens, incidents like this will only continue. Amy Flett, STV News, Edinburgh.
The leader of Inverclyde Council has quit after appearing in court charged with assault and threatening or abusive behaviour towards a woman. Stephen McCabe denied the charges when he appeared at Greenock Sheriff Court. He was released on bail with special conditions not to approach or contact the woman. He'll appear in court again in January. A memorial service for Alex Salmond will be live streamed to the public on St Andrew's Day, his family have announced. The former First Minister is to be honoured at St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh on November the 30th. It follows a private funeral last month. A family spokesperson said they have been overwhelmed with public interest. Scotland's care sector says tens of thousands of people could be denied the support they need due to increases in national insurance payments for employers. Scottish Care says almost half of its members fear going out of business within 6 months due to the changes in the UK budget last month. Meanwhile, Scotland's Health Secretary insists plans for a national care service remain alive despite further delays. Here's our political correspondent, Ewan Petrie.
I've been not sleeping, I've been worrying about this constantly.
Callum relies on carers to provide 24-hour support. He faced weeks of worry after an error by the council threatened to cut his funding. He remains unconvinced the National Care Service would make a difference, but believes reform is needed.
I would rather that councils in the local area control these things. They just need the funding from the national government to provide that, I think. Because otherwise they have to introduce all these barriers to save money.
After apologising for his chauffeur-driven trips to football matches,
Morning.
the Health Secretary arrived on foot at this conference for care providers. He faced questions over delays to plans for a national care service, but delegates here consider that a distraction from concerns around the increase in employer national insurance contributions in the UK budget.
It's really about taking accountability for what is going to make the real difference to the overall ecosystems that we're existing in, and really take the time to focus and support on what matters and how we can make it happen, and stop trying to make massive, big, huge policy-based decisions that are costing us substantial amounts of money and that's being lost. Really funding those people who matter and making sure that people's services are not impacted by the ongoing challenges we face.
A survey has found almost half of Scotland's care homes fear the increased costs will force them to close.
There are thousands of people in Scotland today who are not getting the social care they need. If we don't address the national insurance issue in the Scottish budget, then there will be tens of thousands. If we want a national care service tomorrow, we have to rescue the care sector today.
It's as if the bill was dead. It's not. There are still progress to be made there.
Neil Gray insists he can salvage plans for a national care service. But he believes support for national insurance changes should come from Westminster.
I think it's unforgivable that the UK government took a decision on employers' national insurance without then considering the implications of it, or whether they were going to provide mitigations for public services across the country. Of course, we'll be looking to see an improvement in the situation for health and social care services.
So you may well step in to mitigate this?
No, I think it's important that the UK government steps in to mitigate against the damage that they have done.
The care sector will continue to put pressure on the Scottish Government in the run-up to its budget in December. Ewan Petrie, STV News.
2 people have been charged following disorder in Glasgow on bonfire night. Officers say they were targeted with fireworks and bricks by groups of youths in Pollokshields during what the force described as challenging scenes. A man aged 20 and a 17-year-old youth have now been charged in connection with firework offences. A teenage girl has been sexually assaulted close to a nightlife hotspot in Glasgow city centre. Emergency services were called to Suckyhall Lane following reports of a serious sexual assault of a 19-year-old woman just before 2 a.m. No arrests have been made. The Govan graving docks, once a thriving hub of industrial activity, have been left to decay over the years, but hope for their revival is growing ever stronger, with plans most recently submitted for a new park and event space. It's part of a £125 million project to transform the area. Caitlin Hutchison has more.
These once vital industrial docks left to rack and ruin, but hopefully not for much longer.
There's been a few attempts to try and bring the site back into use. I think this is the first time that the site as a complete totality has come together, plans have come together. The site will provide an opportunity for people to live, to work and to have some really proper active leisure time on the site. So I think it will be a great asset for Govan.
The plan is to build 304 residential homes here along the southern boundary of the site, which planners say will help breathe new life into these 19th century docks, which have now lain derelict for more than 40 years. But that's only going to take up around 20% of this site, with the rest of it being handed over to the community.
Deirdre has lived in a flat overlooking the docks for the last 40 years and has witnessed their sad and steady dereliction. But she's excited at the potential she hopes will soon be unlocked.
Whatever the community wants to do, there's room enough. Come forward with your ideas. We don't have firm plans. There is money available to tidy up the pump house, tidy up the site a bit, and we might have nice pubs and restaurants, and the youth are certainly want to see things like Pingston water sports and stuff, and we went in a bus to see that and that looked excellent. Everything's possible.
Plans have also been submitted for a vibrant riverside area with green spaces, pedestrian paths and spaces for markets and live events. And the 3 historic dry docks, some of the largest in the country when they opened in the late 1800s, will also be preserved.
Over my left shoulder you'll see the Queen Mary, which is getting work done in it. It will soon be going into dock number 1. We were in active discussions about a static installation in dock 2 to help the visitor pool on the site. And in dock 3 we're actually working up plans for houseboats.
So that was the first ship in Govan for over 35 years.
Behind the restoration works of the TS Queen Mary is Peter Breslin, also in charge of the construction of the houseboats.
They'll be built in Govan on this site, using local content, using local labour, so that we can say that this houseboat is truly built in Govan.
The £125 million master plan seeks to revitalise this historic landmark. Planning applications have been submitted and are under consideration by Glasgow City Council. Caitlin Hutchison, STV News, Govan.
The popularity of women's shinty is the biggest growth area in the sport. Traditionally male-dominated, the intensely physical game has seen a big increase in both girls and women taking part. This week in Edinburgh, where more girls play the sport than boys, they hosted a schools tournament featuring 17 female teams. Finlay Jack has more.
Variations of shinty have been around for centuries. The sport, typically associated with men, is ever changing. Now, up and down the Highlands, more girls than ever are picking up the Cammon.
More and more clubs are now putting on girls-only sessions to meet demand. A lot of the girls maybe don't want to join in with the boys, and having that all-girl pathway from a young age is so important, and it just shows how well that's developing and growing with the number of girls we've got here today.
Earlier this week, girls from across Scotland competed in the Dunella Crawfords Cup. The tournament for high school girls has grown continuously. This year, 17 schools took part.
In girls' shinty, you don't get a lot of chances for everyone to play as girls and everyone play against each other, especially where we're from. And when we come together, with seeing everyone from all different places like Skye and stuff like that is very, it's so interesting.
It's good that the girls' shinty is coming on so much. Obviously men's shinty is a lot more developed, there's stuff you can do, but girls' shinty will be like that soon, but it's getting better.
After a competitive day, Ploughton High met Drumnadroghit High in the final. A narrow 2-each draw was followed by penalties, with Ploughton coming out on top. Finlay Jack, STV News.
Now, Ronnie brings us some more sport from Hampden tonight ahead of another big night for Scotland.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Black Friday event.
Yes, a very good evening live from Hampden Park on the night when Scotland hope to keep their hopes of maintaining their place in the top tier of the Nations League alive. We face Croatia tonight with Steve Clarke's men still looking for their first win of the campaign. It's fair to say it's been a campaign of pretty decent performances, but not so decent results for the Dark Blues, which see us at bottom of the group. But Clarke has a number of players returning from injury and many in form for their clubs as well, so belief within the squad is high.
I think on the performances we've had so far, we probably deserve a little bit more points-wise than we've got. But we've got two games to come, and still a chance to be really competitive in this group and stay at that level, which is what we all want. Listen, we recognise the qualities of our opponents, but hopefully they know that they're in for tough games as well, both here against Croatia and away against Poland.
Well, these are our final two games of 2024, and what a year it has been for the national team. Plenty of highs and plenty of lows. The elation of making it to Euro 2024, and then of course the disappointment of the performances in Germany.
Always a feel-good thing where you win your last two games, or you get a point in a draw, or however the results play out. So for us, it's very important that we have full focus on that, and going into 2025, it's another exciting year for Scottish football, and we all want to be a part of that and keep pushing out the people in Scotland to support us as much as possible, which we've been so grateful over the last 5-6 years that they've been behind us no matter what. And in my opinion, the support of the Euros was the best. Everyone keeps coming to me and saying how amazing your fans were, and we were watching the videos and stuff like that. So for us, that gives us a real passion and that real desire to go and make them happy and give them special memories and with their families that they'll have for the rest of their life as well.
Well, let us now take a look at how Group A looks for the Scots ahead of our final two matches. And as you can see, Scotland are bottom of the pile on just 1 point. To remain in Group A, we must finish at least third. So we need a couple of results, don't we, against Croatia and Poland. 2 wins, though, and other results going our way could see us finish second in the table. A huge night then in store for Steve Clarke's men. Kick-off 7:45 tonight here at Hampden Park for Scotland versus Croatia. To other news tonight from the Scottish Premiership, and Rio Hatate should have been shown a red card at the weekend in Celtic's win over Kilmarnock. That's according to the VAR review panel. Referee Nick Walsh gave the Japanese midfielder a yellow card for this challenge on Liam Donnelly, with VAR at the time agreeing that was the correct decision. However, the panel have concluded that both those decisions at the time were incorrect. And now to the women's game, where we have a huge weekend in store. Celtic versus Rangers and Hearts versus Hibs, with both derbies vying for top spot in the SWPL. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. Jamie Bothwick now looks ahead to the action.
After a cup thriller and a Champions League showdown against one of Europe's top sides, a week to remember for Celtic will reach a crescendo when they host Rangers at New Douglas Park.
Do we think, oh, it's hard, or oh my God, like, boo-hoo, you know, or we are actually excited and we're looking forward to it. And I think you can see that in the players, 120 minutes against Glasgow City and that performance they did against Chelsea. And now I don't think that they're happy, I think they want more.
After letting a 2-goal lead slip to draw in the last women's Old Firm, Rangers are desperate to keep their noses ahead of their city rivals in the SWPL table.
It doesn't matter who we play, we want to go out there and we want to win. So we need to make sure that we've still got that mentality and we're continuing to try and win every single game, every single week, because we saw last year that, you know, we kind of slipped up elsewhere and that was our downfall. So we need to make sure that we're looking after that.
The top 5 are separated by just 5 points in what's shaping up to be the most competitive title race ever. And that will lend an extra spice to Sunday's Edinburgh derby at Tynecastle.
We cannot put the expectation more than normal. We know that it's going to be difficult. Still the league is so long. But it's true, why not take a little confidence from that, no? Like, why not? As I say always them, we have to dream.
Hearts defeated Hibs 4-0 the last time out, and this weekend's visitors are determined to make amends.
We know in the last game we didn't do ourselves justice, and that was the most disappointing thing. You know, good teams lose games, and we did on the night, and Hearts capitalised really well. But we're confident enough that we can come in and play the game as it is for the 3 points only. And look, we want to make a better account of ourselves.
Meanwhile, Glasgow City can hold on to top spot with a win as they face Queen's Park at Ochil View. Jamie Borthwick, STV Sport.
And the last bit of news tonight comes from the world of rugby, and Stafford McDowell says he will embrace and enjoy every minute as he gets set to captain Scotland against Portugal tomorrow. The Glasgow Warriors centre leads a much changed side from the autumn test at Murrayfield and says it will be a dream come true to lead out the national team.
The closer we get to the game, the more it'll probably hit me and I'll get a bit more nervous. It hit me a bit more today when I had to do a bit more talking and stuff like that than the last couple of weeks. But it's something that I might never get a chance to do again, lead a Scotland team out of Murrayfield. So I'll try and embrace and enjoy the moment.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Black Friday event.
And that is all your sport tonight, live from Hampden as Scotland take on Croatia in the Nations League. Back to you, John.
Let's hope for a good one. Ronnie, thank you. Now, Philip has the weather, and it's beginning to look a lot like winter.
Hello and a very good evening to you. I thought I'd start tonight by talking about the weather warnings that the Met Office issued earlier this morning for snow and ice. The first one comes into effect 4 p.m. Sunday, covering much of the northern tip of the mainland, the Western Isles and the Northern Isles. We'll see snow mostly on higher ground and some icy conditions. Our next weather warning comes into effect on Monday morning at 10 a.m. and that's covering central, southern and eastern areas. We'll see frequent snow showers here as low pressure moves in from the west. For more details though, let's take a closer look. Here is the forecast.
Wet by the coast, with a high chance of sun and splashing. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, throughout today we've seen this cold front sinking southwards. That's brought with it a narrow band of rain. It's moving through quite quickly because of the strength of the winds. Behind it, it's introducing colder air. Our wind direction changes to more of a north to northwesterly, so it's dragging in that Arctic airflow. Come Sunday, we'll start to see low pressure moving in from the west. That brings with it outbreaks of rain, and as that rain hits the cold air, it will be turning to a mixture of rain, hail, sleet and snow. Back to just now, and like I said, at the moment we've got this cold front front sinking south-eastward, so a damp end to Friday for many of us. Once that clears through though, behind it, drier and clearer conditions through the second half of the night. So given the clear skies, temperatures will be dropping away. We'll get close to, if not below freezing in some rural spots. For most towns and cities, definitely in the low single figures. So for Saturday morning, it will be a chilly start to the day and to the weekend. Throughout the afternoon, we'll see frequent blustery showers feeding in from the north and the northwest. You can see some white on the map. That means that there will be of a wintry mix, but mostly on higher ground, with temperatures reaching highs of around 9 or 10 degrees Celsius. But if we factor in the wind chill, it will be feeling a lot cooler out and about. Looking ahead to Sunday, once again, the best of any brightness and sunshine will be around eastern areas. As that low pressure moves in, it brings with it this large band of rain with highs of 6 or 7. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And finally, Glasgow was apparently lit up in sunshine for the TV presenter and radio host Paddy McGuinness as he completed a 300-mile endurance cycle challenge on his dream childhood bike, the Rally Chopper. The comedian has credited Sir Chris Hoy for helping him train ahead of his charity ride from Wales to Scotland, raising a whopping £7.5 million for children in need.
Getting him at the side of me for, I think we did about 17 miles together, you know, that's like equating it to being a football fan and having a kick about with Ronaldo or something like that, you know. So, yeah, those are the moments that will always stay with me. He's an inspiration regardless of that. You know, he always has been. He just ticks all the boxes. He's an absolute diamond.
And well done to Paddy as well. Well, that's it from all of us. Bulletins throughout the weekend. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend.